What if I told you that poverty is not the absence of money, but the absence of the right mindset around the world? Billions of dollars exchange hands every single day, yet many people still struggle to make ends meet. The truth is this: wealth doesn't begin in your bank account. It begins in your mind. You cannot live above the level of your thinking. Picture two farmers given the same fertile land. One sees barren soil and walks away. The other sees a harvest hidden in the ground and begins planting. 10 years later, one is starving, the other is thriving. What made the difference? Not the land, not the opportunity, but the mindset. That is how wealth works. Some see lack, others see possibilities, some consume, others create. In a world filled with uncertainty, inflation, and financial struggle, the ability to think like a millionaire before you become one is not optional. It is essential. It determines whether you rise with vision or remain trapped in limitation. Today, I will share with you 8 life-changing principles that will shift your thinking and prepare you for abundance. Type "God is my shepherd" in the comments. Like this message and share it with someone you love, because your breakthrough could unlock theirs. Most people never become wealthy, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they lack the right relationship with money. Wealth begins in the mind before it ever appears in the bank. The truth is, if your perspective about money doesn't change, your financial status never will. A millionaire doesn't first receive money and then think differently. They think differently. And as a result, they attract and manage wealth. Think of money like a seed. A farmer doesn't wait for a harvest to start believing in agriculture. He believes in the soil first. He values the process, and he disciplines himself to sow long before any fruit appears. In the same way, you must start treating money, not just as paper, but as a tool, a servant, and a seed that multiplies when handled correctly. Many people fear money. They say things like, "Money is evil," or "Rich people are greedy." Yet, the scripture never said money is evil. It said the love of money is the root of all evil. Money itself is neutral, like a knife. You can use it to prepare food that feeds your family, or you can use it to harm someone. The difference is not in the tool, but in the user. A millionaire mindset sees money as an instrument of purpose, not as a master. Consider this, according to studies. Nearly 70% of lottery winners end up broke within a few years. Why? Because their mindset was never prepared to handle the millions they suddenly received. They saw money as a means of indulgence rather than a vehicle of stewardship. On the other hand, people like Warren Buffett began with small, disciplined steps, buying his first stock at the age of 11 and saving every dime he could. He didn't wait for billions to arrive before he thought carefully about money. He cultivated the mindset long before wealth showed up. To change how you see money, you must stop seeing it as scarce. Scarcity thinking makes you hoard fear and panic. But abundance thinking sees money as flowing, circulating, and available to those who are prepared. When you view money through scarcity, you will always live with anxiety. When you view it through abundance, you begin to attract opportunities and use resources wisely. Take the example of a young entrepreneur who sees $100. One person looks at it and says, "This isn't enough, I'll just spend it." Another looks at it and says, "This is a seed. If I invested in learning a skill, or buying and reselling, or even saving and compounding, it can multiply." That's the difference between a consumer mindset and an investor's mindset. One spends to survive, the other multiplies to thrive. Changing your perspective on money also requires gratitude. If you despise small amounts, you will never qualify for large ones. A millionaire doesn't complain about starting small. They respect every dollar as a potential seed. Research shows that those who practice gratitude not only experience higher well-being, but also make better financial decisions because they see value in what they already have rather than living in constant dissatisfaction. A millionaire mindset also recognizes that money is a reward for value. Instead of asking, "How can I make more money?" ask, "How can I create more value?" The wealthiest people are not those who chase money, but those who serve the greatest number of people with excellence. Jeff Bezos didn't start Amazon with billions. He began in a garage with a vision to make books accessible to millions. Money followed the value he created. So, if you want to think like a millionaire before you become one, you must transform how you see money. Stop treating it as your master and start handling it as your servant. Begin to think in terms of multiplication, not just consumption. Train your eyes to see money as a seed that can grow, not just paper to be spent. The mind precedes the money. If you do not shift the way you see wealth, no matter how much passes through your hands, it will escape. But if you cultivate the right vision, you can start building wealth from wherever you are, with whatever you have. Right now, before a millionaire becomes wealthy, they master themselves. Wealth without discipline is like pouring water into a basket. It leaks out, leaving nothing behind. Discipline is the invisible fence that protects fortune. Without it, every paycheck, every business profit, every inheritance will eventually be squandered. Thinking like a millionaire requires you to control your desires before you gain the wealth. Not after. Let's consider a simple truth. People don't fail because of lack of opportunity. They fail because of lack of self-control. For example, according to a report from the Federal Reserve, the average American carries more than $90,000 in debt across credit cards, car loans, mortgages, and student loans. But here's the shocking part. Much of this debt isn't a result of survival needs like food or shelter. It's consumer spending. The desire for instant gratification, new gadgets, vacations, luxury items, often outweighs the discipline to save, invest, or delay gratification. The mindset of wealth requires reversing this order: discipline first, desire second. Think of Joseph in the Bible living in Egypt. Before he became second in command, God tested his discipline in secret. He resisted temptation in Potiphar's house, managed himself in prison, and proved he could be trusted before Pharaoh entrusted him with the nation's wealth. That's the pattern. Discipline qualifies you for destiny. Millionaires think differently about discipline because they see the bigger picture. While most people are consumed with the now, they are focused on the latter. They understand the principle of delayed gratification. Psychologists proved this through the famous Stanford marshmallow experiment. In this study, children were given one marshmallow and told they could eat it immediately, or wait and receive 2 marshmallows later. Follow-up studies decades later revealed that the children who had the discipline to wait ended up with higher SAT scores, better health, stronger careers, and more stable finances. Discipline, not desire, predicted their long-term success. Take real-world entrepreneurs like Elon Musk or Oprah Winfrey. Oprah didn't start with billions. She disciplined herself, saving, investing in her craft, turning down shortcuts, and consistently showing up with excellence even when she wasn't paid fairly. Musk famously reinvested nearly all his earnings from PayPal into SpaceX and Tesla. Instead of indulging in luxuries, at one point, he was borrowing money for rent. Discipline over desire paved the way for both to create empires. The undisciplined mindset says, "I'll spend today and worry about tomorrow later." The millionaire mindset says, "If I master today, tomorrow will reward me." This is why wealthy individuals budget, save, invest, and live below their means long before they have millions. They don't wait for wealth to appear before practicing control. They practice control, and wealth appears. Here's a practical example. Imagine 2 people earn $3,000 per month. One spends $2,900 saving $100. The other spends $2,000 and saves $1,000. Over 5 years, assuming even a modest 6% annual investment return, the disciplined saver could accumulate over $68,000, while the undisciplined one barely has $7,000. Same income, different discipline, same opportunity, different mindset. Discipline is also about time. Millionaires discipline not only their money, but also their hours. They understand that time is the ultimate currency. They wake up early, they structure their days, they prioritize learning and productivity over entertainment. Studies show that the average wealthy person reads at least 2 books a month, while the average person spends 20 hours weekly on television or scrolling on social media. Discipline in how you use your time is just as vital as discipline in how you use your money. But let's be clear. Discipline doesn't mean deprivation. It doesn't mean living miserably. It means making your choices serve your vision rather than enslaving you to your impulses. Discipline is freedom. When you learn to say no to what diminishes you, you are saying yes to what builds you. There's a story of a man who once made $10,000 in a single week after launching a business. Overcome with excitement, he splurged on new clothes, parties, and gifts, convinced that more money would keep flowing in. Within 3 months, not only was the money gone, but his business collapsed because he never reinvested. Contrast that with another man who earned the same $10,000, but instead of splurging, he reinvested in marketing, improved his product, and saved a portion. 2 years later, he had built a 6-figure business. The difference wasn't luck. It was discipline. If you want to think like a millionaire, you must train yourself today in your current situation to master your desires. Practice restraint with your spending, practice focus with your time, practice consistency with your habits. Wealth is not an accident. It is the fruit of discipline. When you can control yourself with a little, you qualify for much. That's why discipline is not optional. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Before the millions ever arrive, the millionaire mindset proves itself by saying, I will master my desires so that wealth will not master me. If your only goal is to make money, you will never think like a millionaire. True wealth builders do not chase money. They pursue vision. Money is a byproduct of purpose, not the other way around. The difference between those who remain trapped in survival mode and those who step into abundance is this. One lives for income, the other lives for impact. Vision is the picture of your preferred future. It is what pulls you beyond the ordinary, the wealthiest people on earth. When you study their stories, rarely begin with the thought, how can I get rich? Instead, they asked, what problem can I solve? What value can I add? What change can I create? Their vision attracted money, influence, and opportunities. Take Steve Jobs, for example. When he co-founded Apple, his driving force wasn't just to sell computers. His vision was to put a dent in the universe by making technology accessible, simple, and beautiful for the everyday person. That vision pulled him through rejection, failure, and even being fired from his own company. But because he had a vision beyond money, he built one of the most valuable companies in the world. Contrast that with someone who chases only money. They may start a business, but as soon as challenges come, low sales, unexpected expenses, competition, they quit. Why? Because money alone is not enough to sustain you. It runs out, and so does the motivation. But vision endures. Vision keeps you going when profit disappears. Vision gives meaning to sacrifice. Vision fuels persistence. A millionaire mindset is built on purpose. That's why even when wealthy individuals achieve financial independence, many don't stop working. They don't retire into idleness. They keep building, creating, mentoring, and innovating. Why? Because their true wealth was never just the bank account. It was the impact. Research backs this up. A Harvard Business School study found that entrepreneurs motivated primarily by purpose were more resilient, more innovative, and built more sustainable businesses than those motivated solely by profit. Purpose acts as a compass. It not only directs your decisions, but also attracts others, investors, partners, customers, because people want to connect to a vision bigger than money. Think of vision like a lighthouse. When storms hit, when profits fall, when circumstances discourage, vision becomes the fixed point that keeps you from drifting. Without vision, people perish, not just spiritually, but financially, mentally, emotionally. Without a picture of the future, every opportunity looks attractive, every distraction looks appealing, and you end up scattered, exhausted, and broke. But with vision, you can say no to what doesn't align and yes to what builds your future. Consider a young man who opens a restaurant. If his only goal is profit, he might cut corners, buy cheaper ingredients, underpay staff, and push sales without caring about quality. But if his vision is to create healthy, affordable meals for his community, that purpose will shape his business decisions. Customers will sense the authenticity, return with loyalty, and spread the word. Profit will follow. But purpose came first. This principle is not just for business. Even in your personal finances, vision matters. Why do you want wealth? If your answer is only, so I can buy cars, clothes, and houses, your drive will eventually fade. But if your vision is, so I can provide stability for my family, educate my children, build opportunities for others, and leave a legacy, then money takes on meaning. It no longer becomes something you serve, but something that serves your vision. History is full of leaders who embodied this truth. Think of Nelson Mandela. His vision wasn't wealth. It was freedom for his people. Yet because he pursued vision, the world poured resources, honor, and influence into his hands. Or Mother Teresa, who had no desire for riches, but a vision to serve the poorest of the poor. Money flowed from nations and donors worldwide because people are drawn to vision. If you want to think like a millionaire before you become one, stop asking, how can I make more money? And start asking, what vision is worth my life? Write it down. See it clearly. Let it direct your daily habits. Vision will keep you steady when your account is low. Vision will help you endure when the sacrifice is painful. Vision will draw provision, because provision always follows vision. Wealth is empty without purpose. Money is meaningless if it does not serve something greater. The millionaire mindset understands this, that purpose is the foundation of prosperity. Build vision first, and money will come looking for you. The difference between those who stay broke and those who build wealth is simple. One thinks in terms of income, the other in terms of assets. Income is money you work for. Assets are money that works for you. A millionaire mindset doesn't stop at earning a paycheck. It looks for ways to create streams of income that flow whether you work or not. Most people are trapped in what is called the rat race. They exchange time for money, working harder, working longer, believing that higher income equals wealth. But here's the truth. Income can make you comfortable, but assets make you free. Without assets, even a high salary will keep you living paycheck to paycheck. That's why studies show that many doctors and lawyers, though they earn six figures, often face financial struggles. They earn plenty of income, but fail to convert it into wealth. Building assets. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. A liability is anything that takes money out. Most people confuse the two. They think a new car is an asset, but the car depreciates the moment you drive it off the lot, costing you insurance, maintenance, and fuel. That's a liability. A true asset is something like a rental property that generates monthly cash flow, a stock that pays dividends, a business that earns profits even when you're asleep, or intellectual property like a book or patent that brings royalties for years. Millionaires think in terms of building and collecting assets, not just spending income. Let's look at an example. Imagine two friends. John and Alex both earn $60,000 a year. John spends his salary on a bigger house, new gadgets, vacations, and a nice car. Alex, on the other hand, lives modestly, saves aggressively, and invests in a rental property. Within a few years, Alex owns multiple properties generating thousands monthly, while John is stuck with debt and bills. Same income, different mindset, One chased lifestyle, the other built assets. This is why millionaire thinkers are investors, not just consumers. According to research, 90% of millionaires in the United States invest in real estate. They understand that while income feeds you, assets free you, they don't just buy things. They buy things that buy things for them. Consider Warren Buffett again. His salary as CEO of Berkshire Hathaway has been $100,000 per year for decades, hardly extraordinary compared to CEOs of smaller companies earning millions in salary. But Buffett is one of the richest men alive. Why? Because he doesn't depend on income. His wealth comes from assets, ownership in companies that generate billions year after year. Thinking in assets also changes how you view opportunities. A paycheck offers security, but it has a ceiling. Assets, however, compound over time. For example, if you invest $500 a month into an index fund averaging 8% annual returns, in 30 years you'll have over $680,000. That's the power of assets working quietly while you sleep. Millionaire thinkers also diversify assets. They don't put everything in one basket. They build a portfolio: stocks, bonds, businesses, real estate, intellectual property. That way, even if one stream slows, others continue flowing. Contrast this with someone who depends solely on one job, lose a job, and everything collapses. Millionaires build safety by building assets. Let's bring this closer to everyday life. Say you earn only a modest income today. How do you begin thinking like a millionaire in assets? Start small. Buy a few shares of stock instead of splurging on fast fashion. Invest in a skill that can earn you freelance income. Write an ebook, start a side business, or create digital content that can generate passive revenue. Assets don't have to begin huge. They grow when you stay consistent. Discipline is required here. Many people say, "I can't invest. I don't have enough money." But the truth is they do. It's just going to liabilities. The average American spends over $1,500 a year on coffee, nearly $1,200 on subscription services, and thousands on eating out. If that same money were redirected into assets, in a decade they could have tens of thousands invested. Millionaire thinking doesn't say, "I don't have enough." It says, "How can I use what I have to create more?" There's a story of a woman who worked as a janitor for decades. She never earned more than an average salary, but she lived modestly, invested consistently in dividend, paying stocks, and reinvested her returns. By the time she passed away, she had quietly built a fortune worth over $8 million, much of which she donated to charity. She didn't chase income. She built assets. If you want to think like a millionaire before becoming one, you must train your mind to see beyond the paycheck. Ask yourself, am I buying a liability or an asset? Is this purchase making me poorer or richer? Millionaires don't just measure money by how much they earn. They measure it by how much they keep and multiply. Wealth is not about working harder. It's about working smarter. And the smartest way is to let your money work for you through assets. A millionaire mindset understands this truth. You cannot build lasting wealth on income alone. You must build assets that outlive your labor. No one becomes great in isolation. Wealth is never built alone. It is nurtured, multiplied, and sustained through relationships. If you want to think like a millionaire before you become one, you must carefully choose the company you keep. Your network can either elevate your mindset or imprison it. There is an old saying, "Show me your friends, and I will show you your future." The people you spend the most time with influence your thoughts, your standards, and your expectations of life. If you surround yourself with people who constantly complain about the economy, who see wealth as impossible, or who spend recklessly without thinking about the future, their mindset will rub off on you. But if you intentionally surround yourself with people who think big, who pursue growth, and who steward resources wisely, you begin to rise to their level. Millionaires understand the power of networks. They invest time not just in building businesses, but in building relationships. According to a study by Harvard, 85% of career success comes not from technical skills, but from people skills and connections. In other words, who, often matters as much as what you know. Consider the story of Henry Ford. He was not the most educated man of his time. He didn't finish high school, but he built one of the greatest automobile empires in history. How he surrounded himself with a group of thinkers and innovators like Thomas Edison and Harvey Firestone. This group, often called the vagabonds, would travel together, share ideas, and inspire one another. Ford tapped into their creativity and insight, and together they shaped industries. Without that network, Ford might have remained just a mechanic with ideas. On the opposite side, think of people who isolate themselves or stay trapped in toxic circles. They may have talent, but their growth is stunted because their environment never challenges them to think bigger. According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, people tend to adopt the income and lifestyle habits of their closest peers. If your circle spends everything they earn, chances are you will too. If your circle invests, grows businesses, and discusses opportunities, you will naturally align with that energy. This doesn't mean you abandon your old friends or look down on those who are struggling. It means you must intentionally seek relationships that pull you higher. Join groups, attend seminars, volunteer with successful people, or find mentors who already embody the life you aspire to live. Millionaires don't wait for the right network to appear. They position themselves where growth-minded people are. Take Oprah Winfrey. As an example, throughout her career, she built strategic relationships with mentors, producers, investors, and thought leaders. These networks opened doors for her, sharpened her vision, and multiplied her influence. Even her media empire was sustained not just by her talent, but by her ability to connect with and learn from others. There's also a spiritual principle here. Iron sharpens iron. When you are around sharp thinkers, your dull edges are challenged. When you're around people of vision, your own vision expands. But when you're around negativity, gossip, and small-mindedness, your spirit contracts. Let's get practical. If you earn $50,000 a year and everyone in your circle earns around the same, it's likely you'll remain in that range. But if you start building relationships with people earning $200,000 or running businesses, your conversations change. Suddenly, you're learning about investments, real estate, strategies, and opportunities you never imagined. Your mindset shifts simply by exposure. That's why millionaires are selective with their time. They don't spend hours with people who drain them. They spend time with people who inspire, challenge, and stretch them. They also know how to add value to others. Networking is not about using people. It's about mutual exchange. Ask yourself, what can I bring to the table? How can I serve, encourage, or add value? When you contribute to others, doors of opportunity naturally open in return. Even in the digital age, your network matters. What you consume online, the voices you follow, the communities you engage with, all of these shape your mindset. If your feed is filled with gossip, distractions, and negativity, that becomes your environment. But if you curate it with mentors, financial educators, and visionaries, your daily input feeds Millionaire. Thinking. Remember, isolation breeds stagnation, community breeds growth. You cannot think like a millionaire in a circle of complainers. You cannot develop wealth habits in a circle that celebrates debt. You must step into environments that match your destiny, not your history. If you want to think like a millionaire before becoming one, evaluate your circle today. Who speaks into your life, who challenges you, who drains you, and who inspires you. Build networks that align with your vision. Seek mentors, join masterminds, and create relationships that stretch your imagination. Wealth flows through relationships. Doors open through people. Ideas grow through collaboration. The millionaire mindset understands this simple but profound truth. Your net worth often rises or falls with your network. Before you can build wealth, you must first learn how to speak its language. Money has a vocabulary, a rhythm, and a logic. If you do not understand it, wealth will slip through your fingers like sand. The tragedy is that many people dream of becoming millionaires, yet they remain financially illiterate. They want abundance but cannot interpret the language of the very thing they desire. Think about it this way: if you move to a foreign country without learning the language, you will struggle to communicate, trade, or thrive. Opportunities may surround you, but you won't be able to access them. Money works the same way. If you don't understand the basic principles of saving, investing, compounding, credit, and assets, you may live in the land of opportunity, yet never taste its wealth. According to the National Financial Educators Council, the lack of financial literacy cost Americans more than $1.8 trillion in 2022 alone, through poor decisions, debt mismanagement, and missed opportunities. That's not a lack of money. That's a lack of knowledge. Millionaires, on the other hand, are students of money. They study how it moves, where it grows, and how it multiplies. One powerful story is that of Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He often speaks of the difference between his poor dad, who had a good salary but little financial education, and his rich dad who taught him how money really works. His poor dad said, "Go to school, get a job, work hard." His rich dad said, "Learn how money works, make it serve you." That shift in education, not income, was what set him on the path to financial freedom. Financial literacy is not just about numbers, it's about mindset. Most people see money only as a means of spending. The financially literate see it as a tool for investment. Most people see debt only as a trap. The financially literate see there is bad debt, credit card debt, consumption debt, and good debt, borrowed money, that builds income, generating assets. A millionaire mindset doesn't just ask, "How much do I earn?" but "What is my cash flow? What is my return on investment? How can I make this dollar work for me repeatedly?" Take the story of a young couple who earned the same income as their friends. Their friends spent freely, new furniture, vacations, trendy clothes. While the couple took time to study financial literacy, they learned about index funds, compound interest, and real estate. They lived modestly, saved diligently, and invested consistently. After 10 years, their net worth was 6 times higher than their peers. What made the difference? Not intelligence, not luck. Financial education compounding is one of the most important concepts in the language of money. Albert Einstein called it the 8th wonder of the world. It means your money makes money, and that money makes more money. For example, if you invest $1,000 at a 10% return, after the first year you earn $100. Reinvest it, and the next year you're earning 10%, not just on the $1,000, but on $1,100 over time. This snowball effect turns small seeds into great harvests. The financially illiterate ignore this. The millionaire mindset uses it to build empires. Another crucial part of financial literacy is understanding risk and diversification. Many people fear investing because they don't understand it, so they keep their money in savings accounts earning less than inflation. Over time, their money loses value. Millionaires, however, understand the balance between risk and reward. They diversify, spreading money across stocks, real estate, businesses, and other vehicles, so one loss doesn't destroy them. Even budgeting is a language. Many despise the word, seeing it as restrictive. But millionaires see it as liberating. A budget is not a cage, it's a map. It tells your money where to go, instead of wondering where it went. Without it, income vanishes. With it, even modest income can grow into assets. Financial literacy also requires humility. Too many people pretend to know money, but pride keeps them from asking questions or seeking mentorship. Millionaires are not ashamed to admit what they don't know. They hire advisors, read books, attend seminars, and constantly upgrade their understanding. According to Tom Corley, author of Rich Habits, 88% of self-made millionaires devote at least 30 minutes a day to reading, often in the areas of self-improvement, investing, or financial strategy. The millionaire mindset embraces lifelong learning about money. You don't need a degree in finance to master this. You need curiosity, discipline, and the willingness to apply what you learn. Start with small steps. Read a financial book, listen to wealth podcasts, take a course, or track your expenses. Slowly, you begin to speak the language of money fluently. Here's the truth. Money doesn't stay where it isn't understood. If you don't understand it, you will lose it. But when you master its language, money finds confidence in your hands. It knows it will be multiplied, protected, and directed with wisdom. If you want to think like a millionaire before you become one, commit yourself to financial literacy. Learn the language, study the principles, understand the systems. The more fluent you become, the more prepared you are to handle wealth when it arrives. The millionaire mindset knows this. Money flows where knowledge grows. Every millionaire has something in common. They failed, and they failed often. The difference is they refuse to let failure define them. Where most people see failure as the end, millionaires see it as feedback. Where others see loss, they see lessons. If you want to think like a millionaire before you become one, you must train your mind to turn setbacks into stepping stones. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That statement captures the mindset of resilience. Edison could have quit after his first failed attempt at inventing the light bulb, but instead, he embraced failure as a teacher. Because of that resilience, the world was illuminated. Look at the story of Oprah Winfrey. She was fired from her first television job, told she was unfit for television. Many would have internalized that rejection and quit. Instead, she turned it into fuel, learning from the criticism and sharpening her craft. Today, she's not only one of the most successful media personalities, but also one of the richest women in the world. Her failure was not her finish line. It was her training ground. Resilience in failure requires perspective. Most people view setbacks emotionally. They see them as personal attacks or signs of inadequacy. Millionaires, however, see them analytically. They ask what went wrong. What can I learn? How can I adapt? They treat failure as data, not drama. Consider Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. Many of his ventures within the company failed, like the Fire Phone, which cost the company millions. But Bezos described those losses as experiments. He said, "If you know it's going to work, it's not an experiment." That mindset allowed Amazon to take risks that ultimately led to innovations like Amazon Prime and AWS, both of which became multi-billion-dollar successes. The truth is, resilience separates dreamers from achievers. Everyone has dreams, but only those who endure setbacks rise to the top. According to a study of entrepreneurs by Harvard Business School, the majority of successful founders had failed in business before they succeeded. Failure wasn't a disqualification, it was a prerequisite. Millionaire thinkers reframe failure in three powerful ways. Failure is temporary. They know that no defeat is permanent unless they accept it. Every setback is a season, not a sentence. Failure is directional. It shows them what doesn't work so they can find what does. Every closed door points toward a better one. Failure is transformational. It builds character, grit, and wisdom. Success without failure produces arrogance. Success through failure produces strength. Think of J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter. Before her books became a global phenomenon, she faced rejection from 12 publishers. A single mother living on welfare, she could have given up after the first no. Instead, she used resilience to keep submitting her manuscript until one publisher finally said, yes. That resilience has since turned her into one of the wealthiest authors in history. But resilience doesn't come naturally. It must be cultivated. One way is by changing how you talk to yourself after a setback. Most people say, "I'm a failure." Millionaires say, "That attempt failed." One statement attacks identity. The other critiques process. By separating who you are from what happened, you preserve confidence while still learning the lesson. Another way is by surrounding yourself with people who encourage resilience. If your circle mocks failure or shames you for trying, you'll fear risk. But if your circle applauds effort and helps you extract wisdom from setbacks, you'll grow stronger with each attempt. Resilience also means staying committed when results are not immediate. Many people quit too soon. They plant a seed, but dig it up before it has time to grow. Millionaires understand that failure is often just early stages of success in disguise. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination after being fired from a newspaper job. His first business went bankrupt, but he persisted. And today his vision has shaped global entertainment for generations. Let's make this practical. The next time you face a setback, whether in business, career, or personal finance, don't panic. Pause, reflect, and extract the lesson. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can I adjust my strategy? How can I use this pain as power? Millionaire thinkers don't waste pain. They invest it. Here's the secret. Resilience transforms failure into wisdom, and wisdom compounds into wealth. Every scar becomes a strategy. Every disappointment becomes direction. Every rejection becomes redirection. If you want to think like a millionaire before becoming one, stop fearing failure. Start leveraging it. Millionaires are not those who never fell. They are those who learn to rise stronger every time they did. Remember this truth. Failure is not final unless you make it final. Resilience turns stumbling blocks into stepping stones toward greatness. The greatest difference between those who merely chase money and those who build lasting wealth is purpose. Money alone is not enough to drive someone through the storms, the sacrifices, and the setbacks that success demands. If your only motivation is to buy things, your vision will run out long before your resources run in. Millionaires don't just think about money. They think about meaning. They know that wealth without purpose is empty, but wealth with purpose is powerful. Look at history's most influential millionaires. They didn't just build businesses. They built legacies. Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men of his time, spent the latter part of his life giving away nearly 90% of his fortune to fund libraries, education, and institutions that still impact lives today. Why? Because he understood that wealth was not just about accumulation, but about contribution. Purpose-driven wealth answers the deeper question, why am I pursuing financial freedom? For some, it's to provide generational stability. For others, it's to fund causes they believe in, to create opportunities for others, or to build systems that outlast them. Without purpose, money becomes a trap, feeding greed, insecurity, or endless consumption. With purpose, money becomes a tool for transformation. Consider the story of Elon Musk. Love him or hate him. One cannot deny his purpose-driven approach. His wealth isn't just about luxury. It's about solving humanity's greatest challenges: clean energy, interplanetary travel, innovation at scale. That purpose fuels his resilience when critics doubt him or when companies face setbacks. Purpose sustains where money alone cannot. Purpose also gives clarity. When you know why you want wealth, your decisions become sharper. You won't waste energy on distractions because your money is tied to a mission. Think about it. If your purpose is to break generational poverty in your family, you'll think differently about debt, savings, and investments. If your purpose is to fund scholarships for underprivileged children, every dollar you earn takes on meaning beyond self. A study from the Journal of Positive Psychology found that people with a strong sense of purpose not only live longer but also achieve higher levels of success and satisfaction in their careers. Purpose literally fuels perseverance. When challenges come, those who are chasing money often quit, but those driven by purpose push through. Take the story of Sara Blakely, founder of Spanx. She became the youngest self-made female billionaire. But her drive wasn't just about riches. Her purpose was to solve a problem, help women feel more confident in their clothes. That clarity gave her the courage to push through endless rejections from manufacturers and investors. Today, her wealth is not just financial, it's a legacy of empowerment. Here's a deeper truth: purpose purifies wealth. Without it, money can corrupt. History is filled with people who gained riches but lost themselves, addicted, broken, or empty. Purpose acts as an anchor, keeping wealth aligned with values. That's why so many millionaires establish foundations, charities, or community initiatives. They recognize that wealth's highest calling is not consumption, but contribution.